The stars beyond Earth twinkled silently, their distant light masking the brewing storm in the uncharted reaches of the galaxy. On the peaceful world of Veralia, a vibrant planet known for its lush forests and advanced scientific community, the first signs of catastrophe rippled through its atmosphere. For weeks, reports of strange, heavily armed vessels had emerged from the planet's outer systems, a harbinger of the threat nobody wanted to believe was real. At the Verelian Council of Elders, tensions were high. The Drakethur, a merciless empire, infamous for conquering entire star systems, had arrived. They moved swiftly, destroying settlements and forcing entire populations to flee or submit. Despite Verelia's own defenses, the planet's military was outmatched by the Drakethur's overwhelming firepower and ruthless tactics. With communications cut off and hope dwindling, the Verelian leaders made a desperate decision. They would send a distress signal across the stars, a call for aid from any civilization willing and able to answer. It was a risky gamble. Such a plea could reveal their location to enemies, but it was the only chance for survival. The signal, encoded in the universal language of mathematics and energy patterns, was launched from Verelia's central space beacon, a towering structure reaching into the sky. The message carried not only a plea for help, but detailed intelligence on the Drakethur forces, their fleet size, weapon capabilities, and weaknesses. Back on Earth, the transmission was detected by the Galactic Defense Command, an organization responsible for protecting humanity's interests in space. Captain Leona Reyes was the first to intercept the distress call during a routine scan. Her heart quickened as the message unfolded, revealing the dire situation on Verelia. "It's a genuine distress call," she told her superiors, her voice steady but urgent. "The Verelians are in trouble. The Drakethur are here, and they're advancing fast." The command center buzzed with activity. Military leaders, diplomats, and scientists gathered to analyze the transmission. Some argued for caution. Earth's forces were stretched thin, and intervening could provoke the Drakethur to attack humanity next. Others saw it as a chance to uphold humanity's growing reputation as protectors of the weak and champions of justice. In the midst of the debate, General Marcus Chen, head of the Earth Defense Fleet, spoke with conviction. "We cannot ignore this. If the Drakethur conquer Verelia, they will grow stronger. Our security and the stability of the region are at stake." The Council reached a unanimous decision. Humanity would answer the call. Plans for the legendary fleet began immediately. The fleet was not just a military force. It was a symbol of humanity's resolve, built on stories of past heroism and cutting-edge technology. Veteran commanders were recalled, advanced warships readied, and crews assembled with pride and determination. As the legendary fleet prepared to depart, Captain Reyes received a message from the Verelian Council. "Your arrival brings hope. We have waited long for allies to stand with us." On the day the fleet left Earth's orbit, millions watched live broadcasts, their hearts united in a shared purpose. The stars held no guarantee of victory, but humanity was ready to fight for a friend in need and to show the galaxy what it meant when humans answered the call. The distress signal had sparked more than a rescue mission. It had ignited a story of courage, loyalty, and the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to stand down in the face of darkness. The massive docks of Earth's orbital shipyards buzzed with activity as engineers and crews hurried to prepare the legendary fleet. It was the largest mobilization in decades, a demonstration of humanity's pride and resolve. Ships gleamed under bright lights, sleek frigates, heavily armored cruisers, the newest star carriers equipped with cutting-edge weaponry and defense systems. Captain Leona Reyes paced the command center of the flagship, Valor's Edge, feeling the weight of responsibility settle heavily on her shoulders. Every decision mattered. Every choice could shape the fate of not only Verelia, but countless other worlds that might face similar threats. Her first officer, Commander Rion Malik stood by with a tactical display humming softly. Our intel shows the Drakethor fleet is formidable. They rely on overwhelming numbers and advanced plasma weaponry. We'll need to use agility and coordination to counter them. Leona nodded. Agreed. But it's not just about firepower. We need to be unpredictable. Creative. The Drakethor expect a direct assault. Let's give them something they won't see coming. Meanwhile, the crew's quarters buzzed with nervous energy. Among the fleet were veterans who had faced dangers on distant frontiers and young recruits eager to prove themselves. Stories of human tenacity and clever tactics were shared between shifts, building morale and a shared sense of purpose. At the fleet's AI core, an advanced intelligence named Artemis analyzed all available data on the Drakethor. Its smooth voice filled the bridge. Analysis indicates the enemy's fleet movements follow predictable patterns. However, their command structure is centralized, making it vulnerable to disruption. Leona glanced at Artemis's readout. If we can sever their communications or disable their flagship, we might turn the tide early. But not everyone was convinced. Admiral Ilyana Voss, a stern and pragmatic leader, approached the captain. We must prepare for the worst. The Drakethor have never faced an opponent like us before. They may escalate their tactics or deploy biological or electronic warfare. Leona met the Admiral's gaze. We're ready for all possibilities. Our crews are trained, and our technology is second to none. Outside the war rooms, a council of diplomats and scientists debated the wider implications. The legendary fleet's arrival was not just a military mission, but a political message. It signaled humanity's emergence as a guardian of peace in the galaxy, a force willing to protect allies and stand against tyranny. Dr. Elias Hahn, a leading xenobiologist, voiced his concerns. We must ensure that in our determination to help, we don't impose our will or culture on others. Respect for Varelia's sovereignty is essential. Agreed, Ambassador Nyala, Varelia's representative on Earth, replied. Our people are proud and resilient. They welcome your aid, but not control. As the launch countdown approached, Captain Reyes reviewed final preparations with her crew. Tactical drills had honed their skills, and each ship was stocked with supplies to sustain a prolonged campaign at the launch platform. Families and supporters gathered to watch the legendary fleet ignite its engines. The powerful thrusters glowed, casting blue light against the darkness of space. Leona addressed her crew over the comms. We sail not just to defend a planet, but to uphold the values we cherish: loyalty, courage, and unity. The eyes of humanity and our allies are upon us. Let's show them what it means to be legendary. With a thunderous roar, the fleet launched, slipping into the stars on a trajectory toward Varalia. The journey ahead promised peril and uncertainty, but humanity's spirit burned brighter than ever. The legendary fleet emerged from the dark folds of hyperspace near Varelia's star system. Captain Leona Reyes stood on the bridge of Valor's Edge, eyes fixed on the tactical display that showed the ravaged planet below. Vast swaths of Virelias. Once pristine forests were scorched and cities lay in ruins. The scars of battle etched clearly, even from orbit. Status report, Leona commanded, her voice steady despite the heavy weight settling in her chest. Commander Malik's fingers flew across the console. Scanners detect significant Drakethor presence in orbit and multiple ground fortifications. Varelian resistance fighters are active, but they're outgunned and scattered. Leona exhaled slowly. We're here now. Time to turn the tide. The Varelian ambassador Neola appeared on the bridge's holocomb. Her features were marked by both hope and exhaustion. Captain, your arrival rekindles our people's spirit. We have been holding ground, but the enemy's relentless assaults wear us down. Leona nodded respectfully. We'll work with your resistance to coordinate attacks. Our priority is protecting civilians and reclaiming key positions." Outside the viewport, human ships moved into formation alongside smaller Varelian craft. Their combined presence a symbol of renewed defiance. The humans shared their advanced shield technology and precise targeting systems, enhancing the Varelian fighters' effectiveness. On the surface, Varelian guerrilla squads coordinated with human command centers, relaying real-time intelligence. The partnership breathed new life into the resistance. Human medics treated wounded Varelians, fostering trust between the species. However, the Dracthor had not underestimated the arrival of the legendary fleet. In response, they deployed a devastating orbital barrage, targeting strategic outposts and supply lines. The relentless firepower threatened to crush hope once more. Leona's voice rang out over the fleet's comms. "Hold positions and engage defensive protocols. Protect the civilians at all costs." The battle for Varelia's skies erupted in a dazzling display of fire and strategy. Human ships used swift maneuvers to outflank the larger Dracthor vessels, exploiting weaknesses in their heavy armor. Coordinated strikes dismantled enemy war machines, while fighters provided cover for evacuation transports. Despite humanity's advanced weaponry and tactics, the Dracthor adapted quickly. New weapons emerged: energy nets that disabled engines, and shockwave bombs that disrupted shield systems. Each encounter tested human resolve and ingenuity. In the midst of chaos, Leona convened a strategy session with her top commanders and Varelian leaders. "We need to hit the Dracthor where they least expect it, disrupt their supply chains and command nodes, cut off their reinforcements." Niala's eyes shone with determination. "Our scouts have located a hidden base in the Shadow Ridge. If we strike there, it could cripple their operations." Leona agreed. "Then that's our next target." As the fleet prepared for the covert assault, Mutt, the small human AI drone, and symbol of humanity's adaptability, hummed quietly on the bridge. Its sensors picked up unusual energy signatures near the ridge. Possibly Dracthor's experimental technology. Recommendation: deploy Special Ops Team for reconnaissance and sabotage, Mutt suggested. Leona smiled slightly. "Good thinking." "Mutt, prepare the team. This fight is far from over, but together we can change its course." Below the shattered skies of Varelia, hope flickered once more. The arrival of the legendary fleet was not just a show of force, it was a beacon for all those who believed in the power of courage, loyalty, and the unyielding will to protect. The stealth shuttle glided silently through the dense atmosphere of Varelia, weaving between jagged cliffs and thick canopies of the Shadow Ridge. Inside, Captain Leona Reyes and her hand-picked Special Operations team prepared for their most critical mission yet. A strike deep into Dracthor territory too. Dismantle the enemy's hidden base. Leona checked her gear one last time, her eyes sharp with determination. "This mission isn't just about breaking their supply line," she reminded the team. "It's about sending a message. We're here to fight, and we won't back down." The shuttle's pilot, Lieutenant Samir Tay, nodded. "Silent approach. Engaged. We'll drop you close to the target, then pull back for support." As the shuttle descended, outside sensors detected heavy Dracthor patrols and automated defense drones. The enemy base was heavily fortified, a sprawling complex, carved into the mountain itself. It hummed with energy, a nerve center coordinating the relentless assaults on Varelia. Leona's team disembarked swiftly, moving with practiced precision through shadowed paths. Mutt, the human AI drone, floated ahead, scanning for traps and electronic interference. Its soft glow illuminated the dark forest floor. Multiple energy fields detected. "I will disable them," Mutt announced, projecting a small electromagnetic pulse that short-circuited the defenses. The team infiltrated the base, neutralizing sentries silently and gathering intel. The heart of the facility housed the Drakethur command node, a complex network of servers and communication arrays. Destroying it would sever enemy coordination. Suddenly, alarms blared. A hidden sensor had detected their presence. Drakethur warriors poured in, their sleek armor glinting ominously. The narrow corridors echoed with a clash of plasma blades and pulse rifles. Leona fired with steady hands, her team covering each other expertly. "Hold the line. We can't let them regroup." Mutt darted among the combatants, deploying electronic disruptors that scrambled Drakethur targeting systems. The tide began to shift as human tactics and technology overcame the enemy's brute force. At the command node, Specialist Anya Volkov hacked the system, fingers flying over her portable console. Almost there. Got it. She planted an explosive. Charged just as reinforcements surged forward. With a deafening blast, the command node exploded, severing Drakethur communications across the region. Chaos rippled through their ranks as units lost coordination. Leona ordered a swift retreat. "Exfiltrate now. Support ships inbound for extraction." The shuttles swooped in, extracting the team under heavy fire. As they cleared the area, orbital fleet guns pounded the base remnants, ensuring the Drakethur could not quickly rebuild. Back on Valor's edge, the victory was celebrated, a hard-won proof that the legendary fleet and their allies could strike decisive blows. Admiral Ilyana Voss addressed the bridge crew. This battle was a turning point. "We showed the Drakethur that humanity's resolve is unbreakable. But the war is far from over." Leona agreed, glancing at the tactical maps displaying enemy movements. "We've disrupted their command, but they'll adapt. We need to be ready for their next move." Meanwhile, the Varelian resistance sent messages of gratitude and renewed hope. Civilians, inspired by the fleet's bravery, rallied behind their liberators. Amid the celebrations, a warning from Artemis. The fleet's AI cut through the noise. New intelligence suggests Drakethur reinforcements are en route from a nearby star system. Estimated arrival within 72 hours. The clock was ticking. Leona looked to her crew, determination hardening in her eyes. "We fight for every moment of peace and every life saved. Prepare for the next battle because the galaxy is watching and we will not fail." As stars glittered coldly outside the viewport, the legendary fleet steeled itself for the challenges. Ahead, the first battle was won, but the war to save Varelia and protect the galaxy had only just begun. The briefing room aboard Valor's Edge was tense and dimly lit. Captain Leona Reyes stood at the head of the table, her face illuminated by the holographic display hovering above it. The fleet's intelligence officers had just returned from a daring reconnaissance mission that revealed shocking truths about the Drakethur Empire. "According to our sources," began Lieutenant Malik, pointing to the hologram, "the Drakethur don't just conquer worlds for territory or resources. They systematically strip entire star systems of all usable matter, minerals, energy, even biological life. It's a methodical consumption that leaves nothing behind." Leona's jaw tightened. "A galaxy-wide resource vacuum. That explains their relentless expansion." Dr. Elias Hahn stepped forward, his brows furrowed with concern. "Their process is devastating, not only ecologically, but culturally. Civilizations are erased, histories destroyed. The Drakethur see other species as obstacles to their survival, not equals." Ambassador Nayela added, her voice steady but somber. "Varalia is fortunate that your fleet arrived when it did. But this is not just a battle for one planet. It's a war against a force bent on annihilation." Leona absorbed the weight of the revelation. This was no mere conquest. It was an existential threat. If the Drakethur succeeded, the galaxy's diversity, its very life, would be extinguished. The hologram shifted, revealing schematics of Drakethur resource extraction facilities, massive machines draining star energy. harvesting planetary cores and bioprocessing living organisms. The scale was staggering. Knees. The fleet's AI chimed in with its analysis. Data indicates that Drake Thor use advanced energy siphoning technology capable of destabilizing star systems. Their biological harvesters also suggest experimentation. With bioweapons, Leona exchanged a grim look with Admiral Voss. If they reach human space, we could face a similar fate. Malik's voice broke the silence. We need to identify their command hierarchy and supply routes. We can disrupt their core infrastructure. We might slow their advance. The room was quiet as the gravity of the mission settled in. Humanity's role had shifted from rescuers of a single world to defenders of countless civilizations. Later, Leona met with her senior officers in private. We're not just fighting for Varelia anymore. We're fighting for the future of the galaxy. That means every decision counts. We must be smarter, faster, and more adaptable. Meanwhile, Varelian scientists worked alongside human engineers to understand the Drake Thor technology. Sharing knowledge fostered a growing bond between the two species, turning allies into friends. But the Drake Thor were not idle. Intelligence reports revealed new weapon deployments, massive dreadnoughts bristling with experimental armaments, and devastating energy fields. The fleet prepared for what would be their most challenging engagement yet. Every crew member knew that failure could mean not just defeat, but extinction for many. That night, as the fleet cruised silently through the void, Captain Reyes stood alone on the observation deck. The stars seemed colder, more distant. Yet, in her heart burned a fierce determination. We will not let darkness consume this galaxy, she vowed softly. Humanity will stand tall, and we will protect all who call these stars home. The next battle would test every lesson learned, every ounce of courage. The legendary fleet was ready to face the Drake Thor's full fury and to become a beacon of hope in the darkest night. The call for allies echoed across the galaxy. Humanity's broadcast was clear and resolute. The Drake Thor threat was not just a danger to Varelia or Earth, it was a peril to all free civilizations. The legendary fleet was not alone. It sought to forge a coalition, a united front against the tide of destruction. On the bridge of Valor's Edge, Captain Leona Reyes watched as replies came in from distant star systems. Some messages carried cautious hope, others wary skepticism. Yet, the urgent need for alliance overcame hesitation. Soon, ships bearing unfamiliar flags began to join the fleet. Their crews eager but unsure of humanity's role. Ambassador Niola stood beside Leona, her eyes scanning the holographic map, peppered with new allies. It is difficult to unite such diverse cultures, she said quietly, but in times of crisis, the galaxy finds ways to come together. The first arrivals included the GRs, a race known for their warrior code and fierce loyalty, and the delicate, crystalline Lyrians, masters of advanced energy manipulation. Despite their differences in appearance and custom, they shared a common enemy. Council meetings aboard Valor's Edge became a hive of diplomacy and strategy. Humans, Varelians, Gearth, Lyrians, and others debated how best to coordinate their forces. Cultural misunderstandings sparked heated exchanges, but the looming threat kept tempers in check. Leona took it upon herself to bridge gaps, hosting informal discussions with commanders and diplomats alike. We fight as one, she reminded them, because if we fall divided, the Drakes are win. The coalition's diversity became a strength. The Gearth's aggressive combat tactics complemented humanity's adaptability, while the Lyrians provided shields and energy support unlike anything seen before. Varelians contributed their intimate knowledge of their planet's terrain and resistance network. Training exercises began, integrating the fleets and troops. Communication protocols were standardized, and joint maneuvers practiced. Trust, slowly, grew, forged in shared purpose and mutual respect. Yet the Drakethor did not pause. Intelligence reports warned of an approaching reinforcements fleet, larger and more heavily armed than before. The Allied fleet prepared for a confrontation that would test every alliance and every strategy. Amid the preparations, Leona found moments to speak privately with Ambassador Neola. "I'm proud of what we've built," Leona said, "but I worry about what's coming. The Drakethor won't show mercy." Neola nodded solemnly. "Neither will we. Our peoples have suffered too much to back down now." In the days leading to battle, the Allied fleet formed a massive formation near Varelia, a shining testament to unity. Pilots and soldiers from different worlds shared stories, dreams, and fears. Bonds were formed in the crucible of uncertainty. On the eve of the confrontation, Leona addressed the coalition forces. "Today, we face a darkness unlike any before. But we are not alone. We stand together, warriors, scientists, and dreamers, united by hope and the unyielding will to protect what we hold dear. Let the galaxy remember that when darkness rises, the light of many will never be extinguished." As the stars aligned overhead, the legendary fleet and its new allies awaited. The storm? The void erupted in a chorus of war as the Allied fleet met the Drakethor reinforcements near Varelia's orbit. Starships of all shapes and sizes surged forward, their engines blazing trails of blue and gold against the dark canvas of space. The battle was no longer just a fight for one world. It was a stand for the future of countless civilizations. Captain Leona Reyes gripped the command chair aboard Valor's Edge, her eyes scanning the tactical displays as fleets maneuvered with precision. Artemis, the fleet's AI, monitored every threat and opportunity, guiding human and allied ships through the chaos. "Enemy dreadnoughts have formed a wedge formation," Artemis reported. "Their energy cannons are charging for a devastating barrage." Leona's voice was calm but firm. "Deploy the Gearth shock squads to flank their formation. Lyrian energy shields prepared to absorb the initial blast. Human frigates, target their weapon systems to disrupt the charging." The plan unfolded with a symphony of coordinated attacks. Worth warriors, renowned for their fearless charges, struck with brutal efficiency, drawing enemy fire away from the more vulnerable. Ships. Lyrians focused on projecting massive energy shields, protecting the fleet's core. Explosions blossomed across the battlefield as plasma bolts met shields and armor. The Drakethor unleashed new weapons, gravitational mines that threatened to trap ships in deadly orbits and bioengineered swarms that chewed through hulls. Every second was a test of reflex and will on the ground. The Varelian resistance launched synchronized strikes against Drakthar supply depots, exploiting the distraction above. Human marines and Gearth infantry fought side by side, clearing tunnels and fortresses. Leona received a critical update. Enemy flagship Obsidian Talon detected. It's the command center for their reinforcements fleet. "Focus all firepower," she ordered. "Taking down their command ship will cripple their coordination." As the Allied fleet concentrated attacks, the Obsidian Talon responded with a devastating pulse wave, knocking out communications for several vessels. The bridge trembled under the impact. "Damage report," Leona demanded. "Minor structural damage comes a restoring," Malik replied. Shields holding steady. The battle raged for hours, each side refusing to yield. Heroic actions emerged: a Lyrian captain who sacrificed her ship to block a minefield, a Gearth warrior who boarded and disabled an enemy cruiser from within, human pilots daring risky maneuvers to protect retreating allies. In the final moments, coordinated strikes overwhelmed the Obsidian Talon with a tremendous explosion. Its core reactors destabilized, and the flagship was lost to the void. Drakethor ships faltered, confusion spreading through their ranks. The Allied fleet seized the advantage, pushing the enemy back and reclaiming Varelia's orbit. Cheers erupted throughout the fleet's comms, relief washing over exhausted crews. On the ground, resistance fighters cheered as enemy forces retreated, the hope of liberation burning bright. Leona allowed herself a rare moment of satisfaction, but knew the war was far from over. "We've won a critical battle," she said. "But the Draethor will regroup. We must prepare for what comes next." The great battle was a testament to the power of unity, a reminder that when diverse voices and strengths combine, even the darkest threats can be challenged. As the stars resumed their silent watch, the legendary fleet stood ready, a beacon of hope in a galaxy still shadowed by war. The smoke of battle still lingered in the orbit above Varalia. But a new light was rising, one not born of conflict, but of hope and renewal. Captain Leona Reyes stood on the observation deck of Valor's Edge, watching as Allied ships moved with purposeful calm, securing space for rebuilding efforts. Below, the Varelian capital slowly stirred from its shadow of war. Fires smoldered, but hands human and Varelian alike worked side by side to restore what had been lost. Earth's legendary fleet was no longer just a fighting force. It had become a symbol of unity and resilience. Leona reflected on the journey that had brought them here, from a desperate call for aid to a galaxy-spanning coalition, to the great battle that tested every alliance and every strategy, the Draethor. Threat was not defeated, but it had been pushed back, and, more importantly, it had been challenged. Ambassador Niala joined her, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Your fleet changed everything. We were close to losing more than just our homes. You gave us a chance to rebuild, to dream again." Leona smiled softly. It was not just us. It was everyone, the Varelians, the Giarth, the Lyrians, all who stood together. "This victory belongs to all of us." Niala nodded. "What now? The Draethor will not forget this." Akut Leona's gaze hardened with resolve. "We prepare. We learn, we grow stronger. But we also build bridges. Peace is the goal we fight for, not endless war." In the weeks that followed, the coalition worked tirelessly to stabilize Varalia. Human engineers helped repair critical infrastructure, while scientists shared knowledge with Varelian counterparts to safeguard against future attacks. Cultural exchanges blossomed, weaving new friendships among former strangers. Leona convened a council to plan the next steps. The coalition would become a standing alliance, a guardian network to protect vulnerable worlds and respond swiftly to threats. Humanity had stepped forward as a leader, but leadership meant listening, collaborating, and respecting the galaxy's diverse voices. At a ceremony held on Varelia's rebuilt plaza, representatives from each allied species gathered. Leona addressed the crowd, her voice clear and strong. "Today, we celebrate not only victory, but the power of unity. When the darkness comes, it is our connection to each other, our willingness to stand together that shines brightest. The galaxy is vast, but our spirit is greater. Together, we will ensure that no call for help goes unanswered." The crowd erupted in cheers, hope rekindled in every heart. Back on Valor's Edge, as the fleet prepared to patrol new sectors, Leona received a message from Earth. It was simple, but profound. "Thank you. We are proud." She looked out into the stars, feeling a fierce pride of her own. Humanity had answered the call, not with arrogance or conquest, but with courage, compassion, and unyielding determination. The legendary fleet sailed onward, a beacon in the cosmic night, guarding the fragile promise of peace and the enduring strength of hope. The war was far from over, but the future belonged to those who dared to protect it.